Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has recently went to China. I mean, it seems like he's there right now, and he's advocating for Europe in general to get closer to China, to just totally get closer to China, and specifically use the word multipolar world, a new and emerging multipolar world. This comes immediately after Donald Trump has been threatening Spain, also cut off ties with Spain. And of course, that came after Israel was upset with Spain. Immediately, whenever Israel's upset with something, the United States, like a good dog, the United States just listens to its owner and goes ahead and does the same thing. That's kind of how this relationship works. Israel doesn't like something, the United States doesn't like something. But you know what's really interesting about this is that this is coming now. As we're starting to notice, the United States is involved in wars in the Middle East it doesn't need to be a part of. I mean, that's been going on forever, but the world really notices it now. And what I think the difference is for now, we're clearly seeing the United States is not acting in its own interests, and it's being too volatile for the world to trust. So I'm going to go ahead and read to you guys what Pedro Sanchez said today. Today, with President Xi Jinping, I've confirmed the bond between Spain and China emerges strengthened following this official trip. In a world that is increasingly uncertain, Spain is betting on an EU-China relationship based on trust, dialogue, and stability. This part, we must continue advancing towards a multipolar order built from respect and pragmatism. So this is a really, really big deal. And, you'll see I like the post because at this point, I'm genuinely sick of the way that the United States is acting. We are basically bullies right now around the world, except for one country, which is not even a country. It's a military base. Basically, it's Israel. We're basically cutting off all of our allies and deciding to just go ahead and align with Israel because we think that we're going to be strong forever. And, if you read about empires and how they fell, if you read about the Roman Empire, if you read about the British Empire, if you read about empires throughout history, what you'll realize is overextension is what ruins them. But there's also moral decay that's a factor there. The more that you are a bully thinking you'll never be able to fall is exactly when you start to fall. And it's time that the United States really starts to wake up to that. So let me show you what else was said here. Breaking, Trump gets massive shock from China. So Xi Jinping stated today as well, Spain is on the right side of history. It is a very reasonable country. China stands with Spain. We will work towards world peace and oppose the law of the jungle. And of course, he said this in Chinese. So let me see what else I wanted to show you here. This is also being reported again as well. China hosts leaders from Spain, the UAE, and Russia in Beijing, blasting the U.S. as dangerous and irresponsible. Buildup at the Strait of Hormuz, while moving closer to countries disenchanted with the U.S. actions on Iran. And we're seeing here, a lot of officials again from the UAE, Russia, and Spain. So, I mean, this is kind of where we're headed now. We're starting to notice that the world is becoming increasingly aligned with China. Why? Well, because the U.S. is too volatile. This is what we've been saying this whole time. When the United States acts volatile and clearly acts in a way that's only the benefit of one country, which is, of course, Israel, it has ramifications across the entire planet. One, if you look at what's happening in the Middle East, why is the UAE there? Well, because they're also starting to recognize, wait a second, the United States is not a reliable ally because the United States dragged us into a war that they knew would hurt our economy and that would hurt our interests, and they did it anyways for Israel. And this U.S. security umbrella that we spent so much money on, thinking that if we aligned with the United States, we'd get security. Actually, the United States is a massive, massive liability because of the fact that it makes us a target to Iran. So now we're already starting to see the rich Gulf oil countries starting to shift and also focus on China. In Europe, same exact thing. We're consistently, I still don't understand. This entire relationship with Europe has been based on threats from J.D. Vance, from the United States. Listen, I don't want our tax dollars going out anywhere. And I think the war in Ukraine, I wish it was settled long ago. Over 1 million people have died, by the way, now in that war, which is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Here's the thing, though. it's about time that regardless of how the United States feels about war in Ukraine, you don't completely just alienate and trash all of Europe at the same time. You don't do that. That's not how it works. You have to have allies. You have to have allies. And Israel is not an ally. Israel is a welfare state that relies on you. So we've alienated the GCC. We've alienated the rich Gulf oil countries. What's left? Israel and the global South. And the global South is chopped up depending on how they feel about the United States. Some countries are allied, some countries aren't. And there's also Asia. Of course, China is where everybody's headed. So, was this really beneficial? Was this really worth it? Absolutely not. But this is where we're heading. And guess what? This is exactly what Israel has wanted. And I already showed you guys this and this as well. Today I had a meeting with the Chinese premier. While Spain and China talk, they contribute to strengthening not only the relations between countries, but also the ties between our societies. We advance towards a future cooperation. Now, keep in mind, this comes again right after all of this debacle with China and Israel, China and the United States. Spain and Israel, Spain and the United States. This is coming in the midst of after all of this. So what we're starting to see now is Spain and a lot of European countries are basically like, okay, well, if this is the point now, if we're starting to notice that, the United States is basically bullying us, then we'll just go ahead and shift gears. The way the United States is acting is not in benefit of our own interests. Somebody saying, go to let's see here. Go to some liberal channel, bro. If you talk stupid, it's the PTSD, pro-Trump derangement syndrome. That's absolutely pathetic. Listen, I think if you guys have watched my channel, I don't know if you guys are speaking about somebody else or me. Regardless, if you guys have watched my channel, the one thing I say, I think pretty consistently here, is I don't really mess with this whole left-right divide at all. I think it's actually pretty ridiculous at this point because both are the establishment. If you're so focused on left-right politics right now while not realizing that both sides are dragging us into wars we don't need to be a part of, then you're really not grasping the bigger picture here that I try to get across in my entire channel. Is that what's happening right now is the decline of an empire. You could have tossed in a Democratic politician. Would they have been a little bit maybe more warmer to Europe or more warmer in the rhetoric? I think any left or right politician would probably be more warmer in the rhetoric than the way Trump is. Regardless, though, this is where we're heading because we're spiking our national debt. We're overextending. If it wasn't Trump in office, eventually we would have been dragged into some war regardless by either side. And it would have caused the same situation we're in now. This isn't about left versus right politics. It really isn't. We would have been dragged into this war regardless. So, I mean, this is where we're at now. This is where we're at now. So how do we course correct? Well, we course correct, number one, by pulling the hell out of the Strait of Hormuz, figuring out some sort of diplomatic solution that doesn't include war, because every single day we spend being involved in this war is every single day that we are hurting our allies. Why? Because they rely on oil. I mean, especially the South Asian countries right now, they're really, really struggling. They're really struggling because so much of their energy, so much of their oil is just totally reliant on imports. They're really struggling. Why are we allowing this? Guess what else just recently happened? I was reporting on this a couple of days ago. The opposition party in Taiwan met with Xi Jinping. That something like that hasn't happened in over a decade, where a Taiwanese official, it was the opposition party, goes to China after she called for warmer relationships with Beijing. Why? Why would a Taiwanese official right now call for warmer relations with China? Well, they're doing that because they recognize, oh, wait, this is not good. The United States is overextending. They pulled the THAAD missile system from South Korea to the Middle East because of the fact that they ran out of interceptors while fighting this unnecessary war for Israel. This is not good. So because of that, the Taiwanese are starting to recognize, oh, damn, this is really bad. We're spending all of this diplomatic weight is going towards the United States now, and we're recognizing that if the United States can't take care of South Korea, if the United States can't take care of the rich Gulf oil countries, how in the hell can we be sure that the United States can take care of us? And because they recognize that, they're starting to course correct here, and they're starting to be like, okay, well, we don't want to go into war with China that now. We have to warm up relations with Beijing, because if we don't and things go sour, the United States won't have our back the way that we anticipated. Same thing now that I promise you we're going to start to see soon with the GCC. The rich Gulf oil countries, whatever you think about the rich Gulf oil countries now and their relations with the United States, I can assure you, because I watch Saudi analysts speak in Saudi media in Arabic. I listen to analysts from the Emirates. I listen to analysts from Kuwait. I hear what they're saying, not what Western media is telling you. What they're saying is they're going to have to course correct after this war. Whatever happens after this war, they're going to course correct, and they're going to recognize the U.S. security umbrella. They recognize it now as a joke. They're course correcting, and they've already been stating we have to start expanding our alliances and start to prioritize China as well. They're saying it outwardly. It might not be heard in Western media because they want to put you in this bubble, but I promise you, international media, this is exactly what's being said. And I don't know how you can repair that. I don't think we will ever go back to having the relationship the United States had with the rich Gulf oil countries after this war, because they recognize that this war was done for Israel at the expense of their own national security. And once you break that trust, that's not trust you can regain by a country. This is not friendships we're talking about here. This is the security of countries, the prosperity of their economies. That's not some sort of trust you can just, magically regain a few months later. It's not going to happen. So we'll see how things unfold moving forward. If you found this video interesting, one of the best ways you can support my channel is by clicking the subscribe button, giving it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more of my videos, by the way, and you like this video, definitely join as a member. If you click the join button below next to the subscribe button, you get to see member-only videos from me. I also have a tips section below where if you want to support my channel, you can click the description or check out my Substack. Otherwise, I will talk to you guys again soon. See you in the next video. Bye.